And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, good day, everyone. It is a Sunday, and yes, another edition of the Weighing In podcast. We have had a bunch of fights going on. We had one FC with John Lineker as the headliner, knocking his opponent, Troy Worthen, out cold. It was a big fight for one, and it was a fantastic showing for John Lineker. Then we went to the PFL, and nothing but upsets the entire night. And then we had the UFC and a huge upset win for Thug Rose Namajunas. I know you're a happy man there, Josh Thompson.
I am.
Talk to me, baby. What's up?
Oh, man. Well, let's go ahead and just jump right into this. But first, before we jump into this and everything, I want to make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. That little button down there, the little red thing, hit that thing. It says subscribe. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe.
Subscribe
button. Hit that button down below and make sure you guys subscribe to us, as well as hit the little bell that's off to the bottom side so you guys know when we drop our shows tomorrow, or today, I should say, as we're dropping it now. But then in our midweek show, we drop it randomly at different times on a Wednesday, sometimes on a Thursday, but mainly on a Wednesday now is which we're working on. So it drops it sometimes. Podcast Dave, talk to us. 9, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, there you go.
Hit the bell and you'll know.
Yeah, make sure you guys hit the bell and you guys will know when we drop our show. So we want to thank you guys. Hit the thumbs up. That shares our videos. So that pushes our videos above other podcasts that are not as good as ours, like Ariel Hawani and DC and, and Believe Him, You, whatever that one's called. All those other ones. So it pushes us above them, and then that lets you guys know as well that we are the top MMA or combat sports podcast. So, but let's get right into one. John Lineker, great performance. He's jacked. Dude, I was like, we were talking about this off air, and I was like, is that him? Is it like, I mean, first he shaved his head, and now he just looks freaking just jacked. I mean, maybe the weight cut.
He looks like about 145 pounds.
Maybe the weight cut wasn't good for him.
Maybe the weight cut wasn't good for him in the UFC.
Man.
Now it's better when he doesn't have it.
Great performance, kept his hands up, chin down, and was able to just unleash straight right down the pipe, sat his opponent to his butt, and it was lights out. He hit him with one follow-up punch, and it was all over.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at just the experience of Lineker compared to his opponent. Troy is a good young fighter, but doesn't have the experience to be in there with a guy that is still at the top of his game and has got power in his hands, and he proved it. He did what he was supposed to do. He went in there and got rid of him in the first round. That's what a veteran who's still, fighting for that elite level, that's what you're supposed to do, and he did it. So congratulations to John. He looked great. He has looked fantastic ever since going over to ONE FC. So that's been a very good move for him.
Did you see any of the clips or the highlights from, or to watch the fight between John Wayne Parr and Nicky Holzken?
Yeah, I watched it.
Ah, sad.
Yeah, well, look at Nicky Holzken is one of the very best kickboxers in the world that there's been in the world today, if you want to say. But he's getting older too. But John Wayne Parr is a great guy. I love him. He's such a nice human being. He's so fun to be around. But he's had all kinds of things happen. He's got a new hip. Yeah. And he's had all kinds of fights. This is my last fight. And this is my last fight. Well, no. This is my last fight. John, I swear, this is my last fight. No, that wasn't my last fight. This is my last fight. And he can't stop.
Yeah.
And, when you're looking, saying, would I still like to see John fight? Sure, against somebody that's of the age and the caliber that John's at now, because he's slowed down. You can't put him against a Nicky Holzken. That was just, in my opinion, that's bad matchmaking. That's wrong.
I mean, we've talked about this before. This is also a business, and when it comes down to what I'm paying you, dictates on who you fight, and that's really
many times.
And it doesn't matter what promotion you're in, whether it's ONE, whether it's Bellator, whether it's UFC, whether it's PFL, whether it's LFA. If I'm paying you a certain amount of money, which I'm sure they're paying John Wayne Parr a pretty decent chunk of money, okay, well then we're gonna pick you to fight certain guys. And John, he's never backed down from fights.
He won't back down from anybody.
He won't. He loves what he does. And this is just part of the game. He's like, he got up and he was obviously upset and disappointed, but he understands this is part of the game, and they shared some mutual respect, and they know each other, and they're very humble with each other. It was great. It was sad to see because, like you were saying, John Wayne Parr is not at the level of Nicky Holzken right now, and like you said, Nicky Holzken's also getting a little bit older, but John Wayne Parr's significantly older when it comes to his body. Also, is a lot older. So, not what I wanted to see, but overall, I mean, it's crazy that he's still fighting, to be honest.
Dude, John's somewhere in the 130 professional fight range.
Wow, that's crazy.
130.
That's nuts. Hard pass, man. I'll pass on that.
I could be wrong. He could even have more, but I mean, he's just. What? How many fights has John had in kickboxing now? 133.
133. He's got 99 wins. He needs.
He wanted that one win, and I called his one of his kickboxing matches in Bellator, and he won the fight, and they gave it to the other guy, and I was like, that was it. That would have been his 100th win. Damn. And I was like,
that sucks.
Too bad. Yep.
Well, I think also too, with now that he's gotten older, he doesn't look as finesseful as he did when he was younger. Yeah. He always looks off balance. He always kind of throws things at weird angles. And so it just doesn't look good. Like in the judge's eyes, I'm assuming like everybody else on the outside looking in, it doesn't look as good, but it's still effective. Yeah. I mean, he was landing some shots on Nicky Holzken that he just couldn't, he couldn't get the power that Nicky could to generate to land the clean shots. Yeah. But I mean, overall, I mean, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm sure you are as well.
Love him.
He's a great guy. Lineker looked great, but it was kind of a wrap for the one. I mean, the overall card was, what we're getting right now is good. I mean, there are a couple good fights here and there, but, we're going to keep promoting them though. I mean, we work for Bellator, but we're going to promote the sport of MMA. This is what we are here for.
This podcast isn't working for anyone. This is ours, and we talk about what we want.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get into PFL. Well, I mean,
boom! Was there some upsets?
Do you want to start at the top or do you want to start at the bottom? Like, do you want to get into like the Bubba Jenkins, Lance Palmer? Do you want to go, like, where do you want to get? I mean, what's his name? I don't even know how to say his last name. Brendan.
Oh my God.
Lonan. How do you say it?
Lonan.
Come on, baby! You can do better than that.
No, 2 + 2.
Lohan.
So Lohan. Okay.
Brendan Lohan.
What's that?
There's an N right in the middle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Lohan. Don't worry about the N in the middle. It's Lohan.
Okay.
Brendan is good. I told you he was good. Did I not?
Don't listen to Dave. Dave's trying to say the N in there. He's like Lonan. Oh, geez. He was good, man. Good. Just touch, and lights out.
Man, I first saw him fight in Russia.
Uh-huh.
And he was fighting for ACB at the time, and I did his fight. Afterwards, I see him. They would have a thing with food and stuff, and see him. We sit down and talk. I said, "Brother, you are good, man." And he was. It was like, hey, just keep building, because he was throwing all kinds of combinations and just different things, and he had power, and he's good. He should have. He went and did the Dana White Contender Series, I believe. Look at his record. See if he went and did Dana White's. He won, but they didn't take him. And I was like, boy, that was one of the biggest mistakes they just made, because he would have done incredibly well there. The PFL picked him up and was smart in doing that. He is a good fighter. He's going to give people fits in the 145-pound weight class.
My phone fell out of my pocket and started thinking, sorry guys, my apologies.
Is something buzzing there?
Yeah, just no. The volume must have been almost like rang like a doorbell. Ding dong. I was like, no, he was good, very impressive. Touch, right on the chin. Shaman was out cold, folded over. I mean, if you're giving out bonuses and performances of the night, he's up there at the top.
Oh, come on, that if you're in the PFL with their little point system and the way they do things. First round knockout, that's what, 6 points?
I think, yeah.
That's the way to do it, man. That's how you get into that finals and you go for that $1 million. So he's gonna do well there.
Bubba and Lance.
Man, Lance Palmer ran into someone that did not respect him and went after him. Bubba Jenkins looked good. He looked better than he's looked in a long time.
I'm gonna make excuses for Lance.
Go ahead.
Lance just had a baby. I don't think Lance is going to be the same fighter. As much as I love me some Lance. I just think that Lance is. I mean, he just had a baby. I want to say like maybe a month ago, maybe a little bit longer. Maybe I would say it's probably a month. I just think that type of thing will affect his performance in the cage. I think he's always in phenomenal shape. Yeah. This fight, he didn't pull the trigger. He didn't get after it. He didn't try to wrestle.
He looked uncomfortable.
Yes, I don't know what it was, but he just didn't look the same. It was almost like he didn't even want to wrestle. Like, why do I want to wrestle someone who's as good a wrestler as me? Why? And I was like, well, because you're losing the stand-up right now. Like he was waiting and waiting and waiting, and Bubba's faster than him. And Bubba's punches were straighter, and Bubba was so relaxed there. And once Bubba started touching him, he realized Lance wasn't
confident.
He just started building and building, and there was no reason for Bubba to take any chances because he was inking away the rounds. And I'm like, Lance, you gotta go, man. You gotta go. Yeah. So there was a lot of things that I'm gonna make that one excuse for right now. I don't know if that's gonna carry over for another. But I mean, I also agree with you though. Bubba looked good. It's the best he's looked in a long time.
Yes.
He looked a little bit more comfortable on the feet, but I think he's also
way more comfortable on the feet
because you're fighting someone who you know is not as equal with you, or you're a little bit better than them on the feet. Like Bubba puts a lot of pressure on himself to get takedowns because he knows that his stand up is good, but it's not as good as like some of the other guys that have really good stand up. And so he puts a lot of pressure. When there's a lot of pressure on yourself to get the takedown, there's an adrenaline dump. You slow down. You don't perform as well. There's a lot of those things that starts mind fucking you. You know, when you can't get the takedown, you're like, hey, I'm supposed to be wrestling and this guy's stuffing me. And now he's going to touch me on the feet now that my arms are blown up and I'm trying to get the takedown. All of those things play a factor. But Bubba didn't have that concern. He was relaxed against the fence. Even when Lance did try to take him down, he was relaxed. He was calm. There was a lot of situations where I felt like Lance could have capitalized and he didn't. Bubba had a good performance. I think he caught him, not caught him slipping, but he, like you said, once the momentum started going that way, it was like a snowball, and Lance just didn't recover.
And when I said Lance didn't look comfortable, he couldn't figure out the range.
Yeah.
He was having problems with the footwork and to create the angle that he wanted. He was getting square a lot. There was a lot of things going on. It just was not a good night for Lance. But that, you know, and it's, you don't want the losses. And I know Lance, never wants that loss, but sometimes it's good. He's done so well in the PFL. Sometimes it's good to have that guy that all of a sudden, and especially in the PFL with their system of their tourney that's a little bit different where, Lance can come back with points, have a couple of good performances, and you're putting yourself right back into where you're going to face Bubba again, and you can change it around, if you change the way you're fighting. So it's a good place for him to be, and I hope he learns, some things off of that fight where, hey, everybody's dangerous anymore. There's no easy fights. I don't care where you're at, what organization you're in. For the most part, when you're in those upper echelons, no easy fights, man. Everyone's tough.
You just don't want to paint yourself into a corner though, where you need to get a finish to advance into the whatever the quarterfinals or the final, the semifinals, whatever it is that however they do it. You just don't want to paint yourself into a corner where you're having to fight through that. And like, oh, now you got more pressure on yourself to get the finish. If you don't get the finish, you're not going to win. So that's something he's got to avoid. I know it's early. This is the first fight of the
season.
Yeah, they call it a season. So we'll see. I thought Marcin Held looked really good. He was putting together his stand up. He was backing up, but everything he was throwing was working and
landed.
It was landing. And Schultz he just wasn't throwing enough. Had he thrown a little bit more as you walk in, look, if you're a young fighter, putting pressure is just not enough. You have to put pressure and throw while you're putting pressure. And I'm going to give you an example. There's other guys that have done that have still lost. Jose Aldo against Marlon Moraes. You can't just put pressure and think that's going to win you the fight. Marlon Moraes was touching him more than Jose was.
Even though Jose looks like he's the guy leading the dance and going after him hard, you got to throw.
Yep.
Got to throw. You're absolutely right.
That's the position that Marcin Held was in, and he was every time that Schultz was walking forward, Marcin Held was hitting with the uppercut, a little bit of the jab, just pumping little things out there, but they were effective, and that's what ended up winning him the fight.
Yeah,
good stuff.
You normally look and you look for Marcin Held to be winning fights, not with his stand up, more with his ground game, but his stand up actually looked good. He did, again, in the end, look tired.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he definitely slows down in fights, but even though he was tired, he was still throwing and landing. So got to give him credit. He looked really good against a good fighter. And that was a big win for Marcin because he'd been having some couple tough fights, and every time he stepped up, it was just not quite enough lately, and that was a big win for him. That should give him some confidence back.
The tape on Marcin Hall was that he gasses. He used a lot of energy to try to get the takedowns. He used a lot of energy to chase.
Try to get the leg locks.
Yeah, try to get the submissions, and it's not there. That's a lot of energy spent that you're not going to get back. You're hard to get your second and your third win throughout the fight. And so I think Schultz was just thinking, if I keep pushing pressure, he'll eventually fold. And that never happened because he was the one actually landing the shots.
Oh, yeah.
Had Schultz been throwing punches, it would have been a lot more effective, and that would have tired Marcin Held out a lot faster and also even more than what we saw. So, yeah. But John, I got to say, you hit the freaking nail on the head. Clay Collard is good.
Told you.
Good. And I'm like, and look, he doesn't do, like you were talking about, what's the other Allen kid? Nothing flashy. No. The other kid from the UFC.
Arnold.
Arnold.
Alan Arnold.
Alan Arnold. Nothing flashy. Nothing. But just touch, boom, boom. What I loved about him was body. The body is what opened everything else up. Pettis was not used to that. He wasn't expecting that. As he started getting hit to the body, that started opening up the head. And Clay.
The hands came down.
And it was nasty. I don't know if I agreed with the score, but I mean, in terms of, it was close. But one judge had it 29-26, I think is what it was. And I was like, well, that's a little bit too much. But I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a great fight for Clay Collard. I think Pettis, though, I expected Pettis not to come in as good as he did. Honestly, first fight in a new promotion, coming from the UFC, a lot, like I've talked about this forever, a lot of fighters that come from the UFC believe that I'm just going to walk in and dominate. And John, what do we say? We say this every freaking fucking show. What do we say? There are really stone cold killers in other organizations everywhere. And, and Pettis ran into one. Tough kid.
Tough kid. But, the whole thing that I thought that Collard won the first round. He did the better work. The second round, he killed Pettis. Yeah. And that was a 10-8 round, Josh.
I can see how you given that.
No, this is what cracks me up because the PFL has their fight point system thing that they're putting out there. And they had, out of 100 points, they gave Clay Collard a 98. And they gave Pettis a 57. Pettis didn't land a fucking thing in that round, okay? He got knocked down twice.
Yeah.
He fucking almost got stopped. He freaking took nothing but punishment. And then you look at the third round, and he had a beautiful flying knee. He blasted him with the big head kick up high, and he knocked him down with it. One knockdown, right? Collard comes back and he fights some, but definitely Pettis' round. And they give Collard a 51 and Pettis a 97. I'm going, well, how in the fuck is your point system work there, man? You had one knockdown, you get fucking 97, but he gets 51. It's like your point system sucks. But
I think they're still trying to figure it out.
They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think also too, when you start trying to make it that complicated for people to follow along, you just gotta let it go. Like, I don't think you need to have that type of point system. You either fucking won the round or you didn't.
That's it. That's what you go with.
Let's just keep it as simple as possible. Like, we're not out here trying to fucking reinvent math, okay? Let's just keep it as simple as possible. 2 + 2 is 7. So anyway.
But I do give it to Anthony Pettis coming out of that second round into the third round. Man, that's what a winner does. He came back in that round and he had a great round. So he's got that to look at. He knows where he made his mistakes. He knows the problems that he had, and he's going to fix those. But way to go, Clay Collard, man. Way to undo what the PFL was looking for, man.
Yeah.
You took out their big signee right in the beginning. That's what you're supposed to do.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
This just, like I said, this keeps going back to what we were talking about. there is killers out there. And when you're like, oh, well, and I know in the comment section, you guys, even before you guys, make sure you guys watch the damn show before you start commenting about what we talk about at the PFL. Watch the whole show. The bottom line is everyone's going to say in the comment, you guys, I'll see you guys typing it right now. Oh, he's washed up. He's old. He's this. Let me just a couple fights ago, he beat Stephen Thompson, who now everybody in the comment section is protesting should get a title shot.
True.
So let's just dial it back. He beat Stephen Thompson, and I love.
Not only beat him, knocked him unconscious. And
I love Stephen Thompson. We had him on the show. We love Stephen. We're big fans. Okay, but let's stop with the whole hate of like, oh, now because he's not in the UFC that he is washed up and he's done. No. Clay Collard is that good, and John's been trying to tell me that for 2 weeks now, and I had never really just went and did the research and looked him up. He's the pressure he put, the touch. He had that Nate Diaz almost feel to him.
Very calm.
Super hard. He was very calm. His conditioning was super on point. I was expecting him to slow down because Anthony was moving so well and Anthony was touching him a little bit in that first round. I was expecting him to slow down. No, he actually picked up the pace as the fight went on. Anyone can get caught with what Pettis caught him with at the very end with the head kick. I was like, oh, shit, that was sneaky.
It was nice of him to survive that, man.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a shot.
Beautiful shot on Pettis' part. That just lets you know that he's not done, and he's someone that will come back as the fight goes on. But before everyone starts commenting that Anthony, because he left the UFC, he's washed up, he's this and that. No,
that's why the UFC let him go, is they knew.
They let him go.
Come on.
Anyways, it does put a little ripple in it, but I'm going to say the same thing about Pettis that I'm going to say about Lance Palmer. Is that it really just comes down to like it's going to make it harder for you guys now to get into that first round of the actual tournament style to see if you're going to advance to the finals. You've painted yourself into a corner where it's going to be hard for you guys to get back on track. See, Pettis to me has more of the style of the finishing style. He can finish any of these dudes anytime if he's on point. Okay, Lance not so much. Lance is a grinder, someone who gets on top of you and just punishes you.
Makes you want to quit.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to do that against Bubba, and a lot of the guys won't quit, so he ends up going the distance and just collecting the normal, I think it's 3 points for a win. So it's he's gonna have a harder time. Lance's gonna have a harder time getting into that opening round of the tournament than Pettis, because I think Pettis has the ability to get some finishes. He's super sneaky on the ground. We've seen that before, but he's also just nasty. We saw it in the third round, sneaky on the feet as well. So not exactly what the PFL I think in their mind was thinking, but if I'm the top,
I'm happy.
PFL, I'm like, hell yeah, we told everybody our guys were good, and then right here we just saw it. He's damn good. So hey, this is why we watch the sport of MMA. Okay, this is why. What else you got?
UFC.
All right, let's jump into the UFC, man. Look, should we start with the fans first?
Okay.
Let's start with the fans.
It was weird, but I loved it. But it was weird.
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Did you not kind of sit there and go, dude, there's people in the stadium. That's so fucking cool.
I'm a little,
but it's weird.
It's crazy. But I honestly believe. Look, John, I watched a couple of the fights, and the very first fight you could tell with Na Liang and how do you say her last name?
Carnelossi.
That fight itself right there set the tempo for the rest of the night. There was a couple fights in the middle that were a little lackluster, but overall the card was good. The card was good. I was very. If you guys want to see everything in one night, you got it. Because the Carnelossi fight and Na Liang fight was a knockdown drag out for the 2 rounds that it was. It was a great fight. Jeff Molina, he had an outstanding performance all the way up until the last 10 seconds. I can't even pronounce that guy's name without butchering it. Aori, I don't know. They were saying it nice on the thing, and I was trying to write it down and phonetically, but I just. But that was a great fight. But I mean, Molina was winning the fight, I felt like, all the way up until the last, like, probably 10 seconds of the fight, where it was a good fight, though. It was a good. Molina's tough, man. He's got a great chin, comes forward, very soft with his boxing, but he was actually sticking and moving, staying left to right. His hands are good, very good. What'd you think? Let's see what else. Let's see. The Vargas fight, it was kind of a little lackluster. I think that, yeah. So the Vargas fight was a little lackluster. What'd you think of? Okay, this is what I want to talk to you about. Kevin, you can say his last name.
Natividad.
Was it early stoppage?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's hard for the fans to see it, but what you'll see when he gets knocked down, he's trying to grab hold. He gets hit with a shot, and Josh, it freezes him. And so the camera angle doesn't show you his face and stuff, but if you saw his face, his eyes would have been blank because he was frozen. His body is just shut down at that time. That's what Herb saw, and that's why Herb came in to stop it. He was starting to come back a little bit off of it when Herb was finally down there, but it was a good stoppage. He got frozen, and that's why he got stopped.
Yeah, because anytime I see the guys or the
reaching,
trying to grab him for you closer, I'm like, what are you stopping it for? Like, don't. That's the worst. I would have got up pissed off if I was able to get up and function. But so I still saw him trying to grab.
Kind of like Weili Zhang, man.
Yeah.
She was mad.
Ooh, we'll get into that. Jeez. Yeah, so that was my question with you, was whether that was an early stoppage.
That was not a bad stoppage. That was a good stoppage. There was one point, you saw one shot hit him, and he just stopped everything, and it was frozen there in that moment. And then Herb is coming, and you're seeing him come down, so you see that response, but that's why it was stopped. It's understandable. I know exactly what Herb saw, and it's a good stoppage.
Got it. Sabatini and Connolly. Yeah, it was one of those other floater fights. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was exactly what I thought. Sabatini being the guy that really good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. Tristan trying to, just be that gritty guy inside. Came back in the third round, wins the third round after getting basically dominated for the most part in the first and second. But it was one of those fights. People don't realize how good Pat Sabatini is and how good that win was against Connolly. Because when you get two guys that they're both really good. If you work out with them in the gym, you go, oh my God, this guy is so good. He is all over me. I can't stop what he does. That's both of these guys. And they just happen to get matched up. And so they kind of canceled each other out, even though Sabatini had his moments and he was going for things. But I'm going, he's not going to get that. He's not going to get that just based upon knowing Tristan and how good he is. But, what Pat Sabatini did in that fight for his opening fight in the UFC, man, he had a great performance. He really did, because the guy he was fighting, you figure that was at 145. Tristan Connolly beat Miguel Pereira at 170.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like when I was hearing all of this and I was seeing the fact that he was a little bit slower than Sabatini, and also as well as you could tell that, like they were talking about on the broadcast, and I don't like to listen to them too much, not just them, any broadcast. I want to just watch the fights. Connolly's chin wasn't the same as it was at 170. He got rocked in the first round. He got he was taking the shots, but he was not the same fighter. He's got to find a happy medium. Maybe it'll take a little bit more time to get him to be acclimated to that, but he's not a fast guy. And when you go down in weight, what you have to remember with fighters that drop in weight, the guys get faster. That doesn't
a lot faster.
That doesn't mean that you're going to get a whole lot faster.
No, you're not going to get faster.
You know what I mean? So, and that's the one I've always said, that's one of the biggest mistakes for fighters that are getting older. They think, oh, I'm going to go down in weight and be more competitive. No, actually, it's going to be worse for you. If you're going to do anything, go up in weight where they're slower. That's why you see boxers that go from like 205, they all of a sudden now go up to heavyweight, because they're like, whatever, man. Like these guys, sure, they hit hard, but I'm faster than them. I'm more athletic than them. DC was a classic example. He should have been fighting at 185, not 205. His body frame was that. But him being a heavyweight, he had so much success at heavyweight because he was so much more athletic and faster than most of those guys. And so, but that's where I looked at it with Connolly. He just looked a little bit slower. I think the weight cut, that much weight, all those things started to have effect. We saw it with TJ Dillashaw when he fought
Cejudo.
Yeah, Cejudo. It's like your chin's not the same. You need fluid in your brain, you need fluid in your body, for your chin to absorb those shots. You start playing with your chin getting knocked out, your career won't last long. So that's a crazy situation to be in.
Don't play with the hydration levels.
No. Brendan Allen and the ankle lock.
Man, Brendan Allen looked good. he had that, the loss that he suffered, but he's a good fighter, man. And the fact that he's at Sanford MMA and with the guys he's fighting right now, he had that one setback with Sean Strickland, and it was a great fight by Sean, and Sean really pieced him up. He was just getting hit with shot after shot after shot. But going into this fight, I looked and I said, man, Carl Roberson he's a good stand-up fighter. And off of what Sean did, I'm like, this is going to be a tough fight for Brendan as far as he needs to get this fight to the ground. He's way better than Carl on the ground. He needs to get the fight to the ground. But he looked really good in the stand-up with him. I was really impressed. I mean, he was moving. He was landing shots. Carl is a damn good stand-up fighter. And Brendan was right there with him. And then when they got into the little transition and you saw Carl going for the leg, and then people need to understand when someone, just because both guys are going for the legs doesn't mean that they both have the ability to get the leg.
Yeah.
It's how is the legs being controlled with the other fighter's legs. You've got to look for that control factor. And when you see what was occurring, it was like, Carl, get out of there, kick out of there. Don't stay. And it was like, nope. Brendan Allen got a very nice, they said heel hook. I think it looked like it was a straight ankle lock.
Yeah.
So it was a nice win though, man. He really looked good.
Yeah.
He's come back well.
A submission finish is always nice, especially when it's in the first round.
Yeah.
I only want to talk about the Dwight Grant fight, not because I've trained with him and I know him, but I want to talk about it because of the scoring.
Okay.
What did you think?
I think he looks like Eddie Murphy. It was like watching Eddie Murphy fight the whole time.
Oh,
he does. He looks just like him, man.
Oh,
I'm watching him. I said, damn, Eddie Murphy can fight, dude. He's looking good. I know he's a friend of yours. The only difference is he's got the kind of semi-mohawk thing going.
Yeah, he's got the little, yeah.
I did not think he won the fight.
You don't think so? I thought he won. I thought he won the first two. I thought he lost the third. I don't think one takedown was enough to win the first.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
but
Sekulik or whatever his name was, got one takedown at the end of the first. And
Yeah.
nothing happened. Dwight got back up before the round ended. And so it was like kind of one of those, I thought Dwight landed the harder shots in the first round. So I gave the first round to Dwight.
Okay.
Second round, I could see it being a toss. You want to call
That's what I thought.
Okay. And I thought Dwight lost the third because of what happened. No doubt about it.
Close to being finished.
I also thought, even though, what's his name? Sekulik, Stefan or whatever. I'll just call him Stefan because it's easier. So he was coming forward. He was putting pressure, but he wasn't throwing anything. We just talked about the type of pressure. If you're going to put pressure, you're going to walk someone down, and they're going to move, and your opponent's going to move around. You've got to be more active. He just wasn't active enough for me, and that's not being a homer at all. I thought Dwight won the first two rounds. I thought he lost the third. It wasn't enough. Honestly, both fighters could have fought way better.
I looked at it the same way as you. I thought that Dwight won the first round. I didn't think the takedown was enough. I know that Joe and DC were like, oh, that was a big thing for him. He had lost by getting hit with harder shots in that round. The second round was close either way.
Yeah.
And it was really, what did you want to give credit to? But it was a close round. And then the third round, Sekulik really, he almost had him finished.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And that's why I said, I would give the fight to Sekulik. It was close, but it could have gone either way. It was a close fight. It's really that second round and the way you looked at it. But that's a good win for Grant. He's a difficult fighter to deal with in the stand-up. He has got a long reach.
Yeah.
Man, he's got long arms.
He's got power. He just needs to throw. Yeah. And his corners were telling him, that's what DC was saying. His corners are like pleading with him. You've got to be more active. You got to throw. Because here's the thing, like when I've cornered him a couple times, he's the best when he's in a dog fight. In terms of like throwing down and then backing away and being able to put a little bit of pressure. He never was that fighter tonight. There was like one little occasion, I think was in the second, I can't remember where it was. They got into a little skirmish against the fence and he landed the cleaner shots and then he started going after him. Like I think even Joe said like, oh, he unleashed the beast or some shit like that. Anyways, I think that was in the beginning of the second round. And that's what made me think that Dwight won the second round. So I had Dwight winning the first and the second. I thought he lost the third hands down. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like you said, it was a split. The second round was a split toss-up.
It's a close one.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I don't get any heartburn over, and a lot of people are all, oh no, it's like, no, it's okay.
I look at the takedowns, like both takedowns that Secular got or whatever. They wasn't enough. He got the takedown, and nothing really happened. Dwight was able to get back to his feet. There was no threat of submission, any of that in the first 2 rounds. There was no like threat of the submission. There was no real like heavy control, vicious ground and pound. There was none of that. I even thought that when Dwight got the takedown, he did more ground and pound on the top position and then backed out. You know, I mean, he had landed a couple like clean shots in that ground and pound. He was able to control the position, whereas Sekulic wasn't really able to control the position. Dwight started turning his back, started giving away, got back to his feet. So if I look at who had the most control of any of the ground positions, I gave it to Dwight also. So, but I mean, like I said, like we've been saying, it's a toss. It's
in that one, yeah.
How you want it. Let me see.
Randy Brown. Dude.
He's big.
Oh, he's big.
Good God. I was like, what is he like?
6'3"?
Really? He's enormous for the weight. I'm like, how in the hell do you make 170? I mean, he made Oliveira look small.
Oh man. He's a stud, man. He's got really good boxing. He's got good stand up, and he's so long.
Yeah.
But it was funny because Oliveira hit him a couple times with that low calf kick, and you could tell it's like, ooh, that's hurting.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that certain technique a little bit later, but he's good. He is a tough dude, and he's fun to watch. He always goes after people. I'd refed him once before, and I was like, he stopped a guy. He's just an athletic. It's like there's something about guys from Jamaica. It's like that's why they're all the big sprinters are from Jamaica, man. They're just athletes.
Yeah.
And he's athletic. He's fast. He's strong. And he is long for the division because Oliveira is long, and Oliveira wasn't even close to the length that he had.
Yeah, that's great. Oliveira's long and lanky. I mean, Oliveira used to fight at 55, but he's got a body frame of a 70-pounder. So, but when I saw them standing face to face in the cage, I was like, Oliveira looks tiny compared to this guy. This guy's enormous. And so, I mean, you think about like Rockhold, right? He's big for an 85-pounder, and he's 6'3", 6'4". Yep. You know what I mean? This guy's 6'3" for 170. That's another 15 pounds. That's insane to me. But yeah, overall, his boxing, like you said, was on point. Just touch, boom. He's got to work on checking those kicks or doing something with keeping the shin turned out. But that boxing style doesn't allow that. Like if you have good hands, you generally have a little bit more of a pigeon toe in that lead leg, which opens you up for that calf kick. So Oliveira had the right game plan, but Brown had the better stand-up, the better boxing.
Well, the whole thing with it is everyone with he got the one-arm choke. Yeah. No one wants to tap to the one-arm choke, but if it's done right, and a lot of times you'll reach and you grab to your shoulder and you'll hold on, and you can just, if you can elevate it enough and get enough of your chest into them, you can choke somebody out.
Well, a lot of it has to do with whether you have long enough arms to go all the way across and put your palm across the back of your opponent's shoulder and then cover it with your body. So you're using it like as
can't pull
press. Yeah. So if they try to pull it, there's nothing for them to grab, and your body is blocking it and also putting pressure in your palm to hold it there. So is it easy to finish? Absolutely not. But a lot of it has to do with your body style. And we've continued to say this. We're going to continue to say it again. This body style in MMA seems to be very effective. I mean, he's been blessed. 170 at 6'3". I mean, he's in the right sport, for being honest, and doing it. So it was very effective in the way he was able to get around the neck and and get the finish. Dave, what in the hell are you doing?
There was a piece of plastic in my microphone. I was just pulling it out.
Well, you should try.
I don't even want to know. Don't even want to know. Jimmy Crute.
He's looking at
Anthony Smith. That was interesting because there's a couple things I want to say in here. Jimmy Crute was it's so weird how it ended because Jimmy Crute was eating up Anthony's leg and Anthony was eating up Jim Crute's face with that jab.
Yeah.
That jab, Anthony looked beautiful with it, but to land a good, stiff, hard jab, you've got to put a lot of weight on your front leg. And and Jimmy Crute at times was timing that and landing an effective, lower leg kick. But you see what happens with one leg kick when it kills the nerve. And that's what Anthony did, to Crute near the end of that. as soon as it happened, I said, I texted you. I said, there's something's wrong with his knee, because that's where I saw the kick land, and I thought, he tore his knee. And then it was all of a sudden you saw his foot folding. I was like, nope, it's the nerve. And it's like that nerve, that perennial nerve goes down. It gets shut off by a kick or anything. There's nothing you can do as far as your foot's going to flop. Eventually it'll come back, but it's going to flop. I had someone, putting out the question, that's bullshit. A doctor stops that. He could have gone on. No, he can't. You can't let somebody who cannot support their own weight go out and fight. It doesn't work that way. We don't put people with just one leg, hopping around to go out and fight. It's not part of, the sport. And when you are in that position as Jimmy Crute, now you become a stationary target, and things only get worse because you can't move. So good job by Anthony Smith. Anthony looked good. Anthony looked in shape, and he looked fast.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a little bit on the call of letting him go back out. I think if you're the ref or you're the judges or whoever, the doctor, I'm going to give you 1 minute. You need to show me something. If you give me 1 minute and you can show me something.
Yeah, do it, dude.
I mean, because
it's nice of you to say.
He had the right game plan. He said after that, I'm going to go out there, I was going to pull guard. That means that it gets rid of the foot. The foot is no longer.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get rid of the foot. It doesn't get rid of the foot.
No longer necessity.
Yeah, really? Okay, so when Anthony Smith stands up and backs up.
Okay. I stand back up and you come back to me. You're going to have to come to me.
And you're going to flop, and then I'm going to step away. And the referee's going to say, hey.
You got to take down.
You can't be timid.
His leg was messed up.
Because if you flop to your butt, you're being timid.
You got to take down.
You're not listening, Josh. You're trying to talk about something that you're wrong.
I'm right.
Okay? You're wrong.
Right, John.
Okay?
Right. You got to let him fight, John.
All right. Then what you need to do is you need to get a medical degree, and then you need to take that medical degree and throw it in the trash, because that's what you're asking a doctor to do. He's not going to do that when you can't support your own weight. The fight's over. That's the way they're going to look at it.
He could support his own.
Michael Chandler.
Walk.
What did you see in that fight?
Well, because he flopped on his butt in the corner.
No, Michael Chandler.
The corner took the
They took the stool away. That's why he fell down.
That's why he fell down.
But same thing. You can't. A doctor's not going to let a fighter go out when they can't support their own weight, because that puts, as soon as the doctor does, and then the fighter, something bad happens to him, guess who's liable?
Look, I understand medically why
It could happen.
I get it. I understand medically why they do it. My being a former fighter, just talking about it, I just think like, hey, his game plan was go out there, get a takedown or pull guard. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that gets rid of the feet situation, so you're able to hit submissions, do what you need to do. I mean, I don't know. I wanted to see something more. I want to see like another minute and a half. I'm playing devil's advocate here, to be honest.
Yeah.
I understand. I get
all
it.
good.
I think it's bullshit, but I get
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
Oh, man. All right. Well, let's get into Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall.
No, they should have let Chris Weidman go on. He was going to pull guard.
Oh, jeez. It takes the ankle right out of it. Jeez. Gosh. I mean, we were texting back and forth during this, and you said, what did you say? You said, why is everyone wincing over this? It's just a broken bone. It's just the shock and awe of it all. That's what it is.
I know. I understand. I understand that, and it's. I feel bad. First off, I feel really bad for Chris. No one deserves that. He goes out there, he throws a kick, and his leg snaps. It can happen at any time to anyone, and I've had multiple times when I've had guys break their legs during fights that I was doing, and you can always hear it. There's a sound to it that's you don't forget. It's a definite sound, but it's a bad injury, and I feel terrible for Chris. And Chris, I hope you recover well from it, and good luck with it. It's probably going to need surgery. It's going to be a while before he's back, if he does decide to come back. But everyone looks at that, or they look at someone's arm breaks and say, "Oh my God, that's horrible." But then they look at a knockout, and it's like, that's okay. You watch George Masvidal tonight get hit with a right hand that was a fucking heat-seeking missile. And then he gets hit with a couple of hammer fists, and he's unconscious. And all I'm telling everyone, and I know you don't believe it, his injury is worse than Chris's. All right? He suffered something that's way worse in the end than what Chris is now suffering. And I feel bad for Chris, and it's not saying that his injury is not bad. It is bad. But the brain injury that Masvidal suffered has a more lasting effect usually than anything that else you're going to have in MMA. And it's what everyone, once they see it, it's like, oh, he's okay. He's up. He's okay. He's not okay. And this is where fighters need to really learn. Chris needs time. He needs time away from the sport. He needs time to heal, all those things. Absolutely. And so does George. George needs the exact amount of time, if not more, than Chris does, because he suffered a serious injury with that knockout. That's all I'm saying.
No. Yeah, but when we were texting, it was because of his optics. It's what you look at, you visually can see. You can't see the brain trauma.
That's true
right now, but you can see visually. Oh, you very rarely get to see it. That's another thing, So when you very rarely see an injury like that, it makes it even more, like turn away, don't look, it's gross. And like when I was fighting Benson, the same thing happened with my thumb. I looked down at one time when I went to like fight his hands off, and my thumb had folded back into my skin all the way back into my wrist. And I was like, looked down, I almost threw up in my mouth while I'm fighting. I was like, this is fucking disgusting. Like those type of things. Chris, though, and just to be honest, like I went back after the first round and had no idea how it happened, when it happened. I just knew it hurt.
Yeah.
And I went to move it. I think my thumb's broken. And then
Chris had no idea it happened either.
If you look at Chris's face, he didn't even realize it until he went to put weight on it.
That's right.
You see it flopping around right when the kick lands. Yep. He had no idea. His facial expression does not change at all until he goes to put his foot back down on the ground.
Almost 100% of the time, it's that exact thing. It's that the fighter has no idea it's happened until they're going to take and place their weight back on the foot and they step on it, and then it really folds, and then they feel pain off of that.
Yep.
Most of the time they do not know when it lands that it's actually folded around and is broken. It's always that look of when they step back, you'll see them like, and it's a horrible thing to see. And I feel really bad. Again, I feel bad for Chris. I really do.
I mean, how old is he? He's 37.
Is he 37?
I think he's, how old's Chris? 36. So he's 36.
Coming up this in June.
So he'll be 37 in June. He'll be out for at least 6 months.
Oh,
no, I'm saying like
2021 is gone.
Yeah, but for him to start training, I'm saying 6 months. He's going to take him 6 months.
2021 is out, and it'll be a ways into 2022 if he decides to, come back from it. I'm sure he will try. But you never know, because just think of your injuries. Think of other guys that you've known that have had injuries that they just don't heal the same sometimes. And there's a pain sometimes that's still there. Even Anderson, when Chris blocked the kick with Anderson and Anderson broke his leg, it took him a while, and he was always talking about people saying, oh man, he's going to have steel in his leg, it's going to be more. And it's like, no, that's painful.
It hurts.
Yes, you feel it.
Yep. I've got a plate in my ankle now, and every time someone would step on it or kick it or whatever, it's fucking brutal. I stopped kicking to the body because if their elbow hit it at all, it hurt me more than it hurt them.
You're going to cry inside the cage. It's embarrassing.
So bad. So bad. Even in training, even if you had shin guards over it, it still fucking hurt.
Yeah.
It's painful. What was the next fight?
Next fight was the championship fight. Valentina against Andrade.
I didn't think it was going to go like that. I thought Valentina would dominate a little bit, but I didn't think it was going to go like that.
Well, I will say that I didn't think she would dominate her so much in the grappling area as far as the takedowns, the number of takedowns, the positioning, and everything that she did within just 2 rounds. Yeah. I did think that she would piece her up on the feet. I thought she's too good at creating angles, understanding how to circle away from the fence. She's just too good at that stuff. She's so technically strong everywhere in the stand-up. I mean, she was landing some clean shots, but I didn't think she was going to wrestle near as much as or be as, dominant in the wrestling aspect. Because how many times did she take her down? 6 times, 7 times?
Something like that. And it was easy.
Jesus.
Yeah, with slams.
Oh, yeah.
All she
not
was
easy.
doing was just body locking, sucking her in, knee tapping her, but then elevating her to make sure that she landed flat on her back. She was passing guard as she did it. Beautiful work by her. I mean, with the conversation really needs to be that she's the best female fighter right now in the world. I'm just honest. Everyone wants to say Amanda Nunes, and then everyone wants to put whoever else next. I'm sorry, but I think if you're talking the best with all the best techniques, the best on the feet, best on the ground, best in like all those things, I think it's her.
I've been saying it for a while. She's incredible, and I take nothing away from Amanda.
No.
And then that was the whole point that people were talking about. Well, Jessica, she's strong and she's got power, and I go, Amanda Nunes couldn't fucking knock out Shevchenko. Andrade is not going to knock her out. That's just not going to happen. You're talking about a different style of fighter. You're talking about someone that is a brawling style of fighter, not a smooth technical fighter. She's got power, but when you're fighting someone that's technically good, to deliver that power is not an easy thing. And I just look at what Shevchenko has done, and again, she's had 2 fights with Amanda. She lost both of them. I know that. I did the last one that was the championship fight that went 5 rounds. It was a close one. It was a split decision. They need to put those 2 back together because honestly, I just look at it right now. Amanda's going to fight Juliana, and okay, can't get really excited about it. And I don't mean to say that in any way that is detrimental to Juliana, because Juliana is a tough fighter. She really deserves to get that shot because she's done well and she's fought a lot of good people. But if you're looking for that fight that you go, Amanda's got a real shot, of being beaten in this fight, it's not really against Juliana. It's against Valentina.
Yeah.
Tough one.
The problem is that Valentina, she is leaned out. She's slender. She's not she doesn't look like there's a whole lot of she's right where she needs to be. That's the thing. And now you're going to have her put the weight back on to go back up and fight. I just, as much as I would,
you're right. She shouldn't do it, but I'd like to see it.
I know. I agree. I would like to see it as well, just because I'm getting tired of watching these 2 beat everybody else. It's like, let's just settle this right now. Have you guys fight each other. So settle. I watch that fight over and over again because it is a good fight. Every time it's a good fight. And I think Valentina's getting better and better every single time. Amanda is. I think Amanda is just Amanda. She's got big power in her hands. She's got good. She's got good takedowns, decent takedowns. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. But I just think the size of her overwhelms Valentina when it comes to what Valentina can actually do to her. So having to have her put the weight back on is just the biggest problem. I think that's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah. Well, I think physically Amanda is just strong.
Yeah.
She's a strong, female, and she's just bigger than Valentina. And so with that strength, with her power, she can't be just thrown around, so
I think Valentina is the better fighter though.
Yeah. I say she's a more technical fighter.
That's the better fighter.
Okay. I'll go. Josh, bow down. You're right. I'm going to say that she, in my opinion, is right now the best women's fighter there is out there.
Yeah, I agree. I'd have to agree with you. But let's not forget Thug Rose.
Thug Rose Namajunas does that freaking okay. I did not see what we talked about, and I thought it's going to be the jab cross hook combination that she can hit her with. I didn't see the kick coming.
Oh, what's funny is I was watching her fight in the highlight reel, and I kept saying, if she can set up the kick when she had fought Michelle Watterson, right? She knocked out Michelle Watterson with the head kick.
Yep.
I was like, I forgot that she kicks so well. I forgot about that.
And then the karate background
goes out there and does this. I was like, I was just thinking, I forgot she kicked. So I totally forgot about that fight until the highlight reels came out, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot she doesn't just have dogs in her in her hands, she's got them in her feet too. So it's like,
She's a well-rounded fighter.
she is.
She's, and especially when she's coming out in the first and second round with that movement. And I think Weili's camp was counting on slowing down that movement with that lead leg kick and throwing the back kick to the leg to try to make her start to slow down the movement a little bit later on. But in the first couple rounds, when Rose has got that movement and she's long, she can fight with anybody.
Yeah.
And she's trouble for anyone. And so you look going into the fight. I was looking at when she was sitting there as Buffer was announcing her, she's going, "I'm the best. I'm the best." Right? I was like, okay, that's either a good thing or a bad thing right now. I'm not sure which one to go with. And I was going to text you. I said, nah, just let it go.
I was thinking Diego Sanchez. Yes.
It's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. I was like, and that's why I said that's either a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, she's either turning into Diego, okay, or she's really just going, you know what, I'm the best, I belong here, I'm going to prove it. So no, I thought it was actually cute that she was doing it. And then after the fight, Pat with his thing, and she goes, I am the best. She's right. Right now, straw weight, she's the best.
That was funny when Joe had asked her that stuff, like you were saying, I'm the best, and she's like, well, I'm the best. I basically have the belt around my waist now. Hello. But good stuff, man. I mean, like, honestly, there was a lot of controversy leading up to the fight because of some of the comments made, about China, this and that and whatever. But it's like the bottom line is at the end of the day, it's a fight. And they're going to get in the cage and they're going to fight. And when they do, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. I mean, that's probably how it happens. So I thought overall, she did what she had to do. I thought the fight, honestly, Weili, she started off slow against Joanna. She was losing those first couple rounds. Yep. And I don't know if she thought after the Joanna fight that it was going to get easier. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I've just went through and all the hype and the publicity. Because this is what happens, I think, with fighters after they have a fight like that. They now are famous. Like she was obviously popular before. She's a champion. But that fight catapulted her into this next level of being the champion.
Fight of the year.
So it's fight of the year. So it's like that type of talk and that type of hype, those type of things. You walk into that cage with a little bit more like being overconfident, I think. You just saw the look on her face when she was doing. Now she's kind of always like that, where she just kind of stalks after you, not a whole lot going on, then explodes.
She's always stalking.
Yeah, she's just kind of stalking slowly.
But do you think? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the weight of keeping that belt and being a champion for China and the weight of her country on her shoulders, I think that might have something to do with some of this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
She had that against Joanna. I think she had that against Joanna. I mean, but she fought her fucking ass off in that fight.
She did.
I think she was thinking what we were talking about last week. All I got to do is just drag her a little bit into the deeper water. And that's kind of what happened with Joanna. If I get her into that's end of the late second, third round, I'll just start taking over. I'll start bullying her around. I'll start just showing her my strength, It never got there, though.
Yep.
And that's kind of the problem is you got to make sure with Rose because she's sneaky and she's got power. For someone who doesn't look like she has power, she got it.
She does.
And her placement's on point. You saw that against Joanna, too. She gave a little feint, boom, then faded in through the left hook, and bam, it was over, lights out. And so she did the same thing here. You give a little feint, and then she threw the head kick as soon as the hand came. She actually went inside the guard. So the foot came in inside the guard right here on this side. Boom. Yep. Instead of going like through it where she dropped it, most fighters, even myself, a lot of fighters will try to like go over the top. Yeah. She came inside, right up through the middle, just barely missed. And it landed right on it was one of those short-circuiting ones like I got with Eves.
Yep.
Because it dropped her. She folded back over her foot like Mirko Krokop. Yep. And she just fell backwards. And like you could tell, it caught her across the jaw and a little bit of the neck. The whole thing just went limp, and she fell back, and it was out. Now, she got up pretty pissed off, John. She was mad that the fight was stopped. Now, that was the fight that I was saying, no, it was a good stoppage.
It was a good stoppage.
Okay.
Yeah, if you watch her fall, she falls without controlling her body as she falls. Her head hits the thing. Now that kind of brings her back a little bit, and she sits up. And then Rose comes after her, and she ends up getting tossed to her side, basically. Folds over her side. She gets hit with 2 hammer fists. And what was her reaction? Zero.
Nothing, yeah.
Zero reaction from her. Her arm was down, and she's just taking shots. That's why Keith stopped it. He was totally right in what he did. She was done.
Yeah, Rose kind of missed the first hammer fist when she jumped on her, and then she hit her with 2 after that.
Yep.
The second one, she kind of her hips were up a little bit on the first one, and then her hips kind of laid flat on the second one. She got up. She was pretty pissed off, but
she didn't know what happened, though.
She'll look back. I mean, she tried to do the interview afterwards, and she forgot what she was.
Okay, what is up with that?
I don't know.
They did it multiple times, and now I thought Joe was saying, I'm not interviewing people that have been knocked out anymore. Well, they're right back to it.
Well, what is this? Remember when we were in quarantine or whatever? Not quarantine. We were in the bubble thing when they were doing the Apex. They interview every fighter afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear from every fighter afterwards. I want to hear about the ones that are exciting. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. Like, there's no reason to waste that amount of time on every fight. If it wasn't an exciting fight, why do we want to interview them? It's just my opinion. I guess just me being stubborn.
They have a lot of time and a big window.
All right. Well, let's jump right into the main event.
Oh.
Well, John, neither we were right, but we were way fucking wrong. we both thought that Usman was going to probably get the win, but we were both fucking wrong that he was going to knock him out.
I didn't think he was going to knock him out. I would be lying if I said, Usman. I said Usman was going to win, but no, I didn't think he was going to knock him out.
I thought it was going to go 5 rounds if Usman won. I mean,
not many people have finished Masvidal. No, let's be honest. That's the second time that I've seen him finished. I saw Toby Amada do it with an inverted triangle where he choked him unconscious in Bellator, and then I just saw that one. He's not a guy that gets finished. He's good, and it's a matter of that right hand, straight, freaking strong. That thing hit so hard. He was out going down. He kind of woke up a little bit when he hit the ground. And then the shots put him unconscious again. And so, that's one of those, anybody gets hit with a shot like that, from a strong guy, lights out.
Yeah, if you guys go back and watch that fight and watch that footage, even throughout the fight, but I'm saying that last combination, everything came right from the elbows, from the ribs, straight down the pipe. It was a turn of the body. His elbow didn't even leave his ribs until his hips had already turned.
Yep.
His hips turned, and you can't see it. And I've used this analogy a bunch of times. If someone throws a tennis ball or a golf ball or hits something right at your face, you can't judge the speed because it's coming so fast at you that it's hard for you to move your head out of the way.
Right.
Okay? It's like, like shooting an arrow at your face. There's just no way. Like, you'd have a hard time moving. You wouldn't be able to judge the speed.
Your brain cannot register that it's coming at you in that,
that type of speed.
This short window and that much speed, and by the time you're reacting, it's over. It's already there.
So, but if you put a little bit of an arc to it, you can see and judge the speed a lot better. Doesn't mean you're going to get out of the way of it, but you can at least prepare yourself to be hit by it. He didn't have a chance. I mean, his jab, Usman's jab down the pipe is good. He feints with the little left hook and throws the right hand straight down the pipe. Very impressive. Very good stuff. I got to tell you, the work he's doing with Trevor Whitman.
Working.
It's working. I think the one-on-one attention, the more quality time. A lot of these fighters like to go to these big box gyms with a bunch of top talent, which I think is good. But at the end of the day, it's the one-on-one training you do with your coaches that sets you apart from everybody else. Boxers, they travel everywhere with their coach, just them and their coach. And that's why, you want to know why? Because that's how they get better. That's why their hands are so damn good. And so when you go to a big box gym, sure, it's great to get those rounds in with all the other top guys. Iron sharpens iron kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's you and your coach when it comes down to the techniques of how you're going to get better and just working on the drilling. If you look at guys that are some, and I'm not just talking about kickboxing, I'm talking about jiu-jitsu. Some of the guys that are the best at jiu-jitsu, man, they just drill and drill and drill. You look at Rafa Mendez, Guillermo Mendez, those guys, they put out, not seminars, put out like videos over and over and over of breaking every technique down. And they're like, look, I would drill this move just even without a partner or with a partner, wouldn't matter. I would drill the technique over and over and over at slow speed, not fast. If you go back and watch some of the old Mayweather videos of him just doing bag work and hitting back, it's like everything was not fast, not like it was always like a kind of a regular pace, just touch, 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 okay, explode, touch, 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 okay, explode. There was moments where he went hard and fast, and there's moments where majority of the time was just putting in the work, getting the rounds in, getting the reps in. And people, I think in MMA, the fighters in MMA, we've approached the sport, I think, a little bit wrong in terms of AKA is one of the biggest culprits. We just go super hard all the time. And you end up with injuries on top of ending up with injuries. I mean, sure, there's a lot of mental stuff that comes along with going hard. You know you're ready. Okay, majority of the time we are. But the thing is that you're putting a lot of miles on your body. You're also banging up yourself, but then you're actually not focusing on so much the technique as much as you are of just being able to grind through the hard stuff. So it's a happy medium you got to work with. But boxing does it. I saw it with Floyd, and not all boxers do it, but I saw it with Floyd. But coaches, they travel with their fighter everywhere in boxing. And Trevor Whitman seems like he's got Usman dialed in, something that he wasn't getting. And I know Henry helped him a lot. Henry's been there with him. Sure. But I feel like we've seen a lot more of straight down the pipe and better gains on the boxing portion of it all with the work with Trevor Whitman.
Be honest. Take a look at that fight. You can look at the first round. Usman was hitting Masvidal with some shots. He landed some big shots throughout that fight, the first and second round. He was touching him. Now, George got a couple in there too, but the guy that was landing the heavier shots was Usman.
Yep.
He's just getting better. And when you see a guy who's champion and he's improving, that's where you go, uh-oh, you got problems, because you can't just lay back. And I'll give you a comparison. Tyron Woodley, when he won the title from Robbie Lawler, knocked him out with a big right hand. Nothing changed from that time. Now, he had some good fights. I'm not saying he didn't perform well, but he didn't change anything, and nothing was getting any better. And I'm always telling fighters, I'm telling anyone, hey, never stop learning. Don't stop learning, because as soon as you stop learning, now you stay at that level. You've got to always be learning. You're learning new techniques. You're bringing new things. You're putting new tools in the toolbox that you might at a certain point have to actually pull out to use to get that win against this guy, but you'll have it if you're learning things. Yeah. When you don't learn things, you don't have it, and you're going to end up getting that loss. So it's just the difference of what I'm seeing. And I'll give Usman just big time credit, man. Way to go. You're getting better. Continue doing what you're doing. The people you're working out with, it's working for you. Congratulations, man.
People got to stop overlooking him, and I'm one of them. I mean, I'm just going to be upfront and honest. I mean, look, I thought if we scroll down, let me see his record here.
There's only one mark down at the second fight, dude.
No, I'm saying the last couple guys. I didn't. Oh. Okay, so I thought between him and Tyron, I thought he would beat Tyron because he was a better wrestler, and I knew what Tyron's problem was. His problem was always that wrestlers, when they got into his grill and they made him wrestle a lot, he would fatigue and get tired. I thought Colby was going to put the pace on him where Usman couldn't keep up, and then
I remember you talking about it,
and just touch and touch and touch. Then with Masvidal, the first fight. I was like, Masvidal didn't have a big enough camp. He's going to be hard to take down. If Masvidal can touch him early, it could be over. But I thought the same shit this fight, so that didn't work. But the Gilbert Burns, I was like, okay, well, he's going to be forced to stand. Will Gilbert be able to finish him on the feet? Gilbert seemed very confident all the way around. In those fights, from the time he beat Woodley, I kind of had not rule against him, but I wasn't in favor of him. I was thinking to myself, there's ways for the other guys to win, and I think that they've got a good chance of beating you. I'm just going to stop now. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys now. You got to come to reality. He needs to stop being overlooked. He's good. He's
damn good.
And now, back in the past, they were, he's just going to wrestle you and stomp your toes and all this other shit. No. Now he's going to knock your ass out. Not just that. You saw it with Gilbert Burns. You saw it with Colby Covington. You saw it with Masvidal. You see him doing the work, man. And like you said, he's getting better. He's performing a lot better. Got to stop overlooking him. I mean, tonight, I'm eating a little bit of humble pie, man. Tonight, I got to eat some humble pie. So it's good to see. I'm glad. I'm happy for him. He seems like a great guy. I love the way he is with his family, and stuff. And it's hard when you see a guy getting better and you see how humble he is and see how motivated he is. I'm happy for him. Good stuff.
Same here.
Good stuff.
He deserves. If this is the one thing that I'll say about him. For a long time, and the UFC hypes everyone, and that's their job. I'm not putting them down for it, but you've got to be able to pick and choose what you're going to believe of what they're saying, and you got to say, no, that doesn't make sense. That's bullshit. And it's like for a while they were saying, Tyron Woodley's the greatest welterweight fighter of all time. It's like, are you forgetting a guy named St. Pierre that fought for you? Don't even go there. It's not close, and it hasn't been close.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they're starting to hype Usman that way, and it's close. It's a matter of he's got the same, record-wise. His is even getting better. He's only got the one loss. Mm-hmm. And champion-wise, he's starting to go through them, man. He's going through good fighters, and he keeps on putting that W where it belongs. So he's getting there, and they got the real deal there.
How old is he?
33.
He's 30. I was say 32. Yeah.
I mean, I would give him another 2 years. He's got good, cool, great quality fights left in him for another 2 years.
He's going to be 34 coming up, man.
Yeah, that's all right. I think that 35 range is the issue. Like when you get around that 35. But the thing with him though is he's got the equalizer, not just with the hands, but with the wrestling. The wrestling will get you out of trouble a lot of the times. If you look at that weight class, I think Colby's really the only wrestler in there. In that weight class for them in the top.
Colby can't out wrestle him.
No, but I'm saying Colby can make him and can push him to the wrestling position where because you saw look when he took George down in the first round, he got back up. He was a little slower. He wasn't the same fighter for a split second. George was able to touch him a little bit more in that time. So I think he's working a lot more on his stand up, which means he's neglecting a little bit of the wrestling.
Good.
And so when they has to get in there and wrestle, it's hard. It's really hard to be someone like how GSP was. He was good on the feet, he's a good wrestler, good top control, good position.
He could transition from one to the next
without
back and forth.
Yeah, without looking like he was getting tired. I mean, there was moments where he looked tired, but he was able to gut through it or suck it up or get a second wind or whatever it is. Usman looked a little tired after that first little exchange of grappling and wrestling where George was able to get back up to his feet. And that's when he got touched the most. And so it'll be interesting to see in the second fight between Colby and him, if Colby is able to make him wrestle, slow him down, and because he likes to fight long. We were talking about with Rose, she fights long. When you fight long, it's more exhausting. Your punches have to go out further, and you have to bring them back further. It's more exhausting, plus the footwork and movement. Usman State, he fights long, but if you add the wrestling in with that, plus making him fight long, it could be a recipe for disaster. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not about to vote against him anymore.
Good.
Not about to vote against him anymore.
I'm glad.
But good stuff. I'm happy for him, man. Good stuff. Congrats, Kamaru Usman. Congrats. All right, well let's pop into some. What are we looking at right here? Are we gonna do news? Or are we gonna do? I think we have a sponsor. Don't worry, Dave. I got it. Go to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code Wayne in. They're gonna give you a little extra spending cash. Hopefully, you guys use them tonight to make a little bit of money. I mean, a lot of the underdogs won tonight, so there was a couple underdogs that won, I should say. Go with them. But mybookie.ag, use the promo code Wayne in and get a little extra cash. All right, now go ahead and go to the news. You're a little late. Jeez.
Jake Paul and DC getting into it a little bit at the fights tonight, and DC getting up in his face.
I told all you guys, what did I say last week? He pulled fucking Jon Jones aside by the arm like a little kid and said, "Come here, son, let me talk to you." What the fuck do you think he's going to do to this schmuck when you see him in public? Do you think he's going to treat him any differently? Hell no.
I love it.
Did you think and they're like, oh, he, what is he, his dad? No, this is DC. Like, if he doesn't like something you have said and he ever runs into you, he's going to tell you. That's who he is. It's in his DNA. He's going to be very upfront with you. He's going to tell you what it is. He may like down talk you like he is your dad, but he's going to pull you aside and be like, "Hey, do we have a problem? What's going on? Is it what you have something to say to me now? It's in his DNA. That's who he is. And this is what you saw tonight. I mean, like DC, I mean, like this poodle-haired kid deserved it, just to be honest. You know, what'd you think was going to happen if they ran into each other? You think DC, I mean, like walk in like, oh, it's okay, Jake. It's okay. I get it. You're a YouTube guy and you're trying to make your, no, absolutely not. That is not DC. He is not going to do that. Fuck no. He's gonna tell him exactly what he wanted. That's exactly probably what happened. So I don't know. What do you think, John?
I think I love DC, but he needs to just look at Jake Paul and go, not even worth my time, son. That's really the way to do it. You know, there comes a point where there's nothing there. Let's just be honest. There's nothing there. What, you know, Daniel's retired. Daniel's got nothing to prove. And Jake Paul can run his mouth all he wants. And why Daniel's going to let it affect him? Shouldn't. Daniel's bigger than that. And so I just look at it and go, you can't be the dad to everybody and tell them, hey, son, knock off your shit or I'll fucking knock you out. Just can't do it because he's going to be able to say what he wants. He's got a lot more little YouTubers or, you know, Twitter or Instagram followers than DC, and he's gonna run his mouth and do his shit. Don't worry about it.
I look at it both ways, though. I mean, realistically, it's a good thing for the UFC. DC works for the UFC. He works for ESPN, kind of, I guess you could say, but he works for the UFC. It's on SportsCenter. That's like one of their headlines. It's not. It's a win-win for the UFC. It's a win-win, like for poodle-haired Paul. And DC also too. I mean, like I don't think he's gonna get any flack about it. I mean, Dana may tell him like, look, leave the kid alone. We have no desire to deal with that.
Yeah,
and just leave it alone. But I get it. But like overall,
I think Dana likes it.
The old school. remember the old school saying like, any press is good press. This is one of those situations where it's kind of a good thing because you know DC's not gonna fight him. DC's like, yeah, it ain't worth my time. He's not gonna lose. He's not gonna lose all the stuff he does for the UFC to go fight this guy for whatever, $500 million. He ain't gonna do it. DC's made plenty of money. He's continuing to make a lot of money, by the way.
There you go.
So this kid, it has no desire for it. So it's just really good. It's a little bit of PR. Any type of PR like this is good for the UFC. So just get talked about even more. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
He's doing the finger point though, man. He's doing the finger point.
Slap the shit out of you, son. Love it. Look at poodle hair kid. Look at he's got like a red nose and red face. Look like he's been drinking quite a bit.
I'm sure he was.
Look, yeah. Did he cut his eyebrow? Like his eye? Did he shave his eyebrow?
Make that little razor thing, man.
Oh my gosh, man, dude, you talking about your acne, son? Oh, what is that? What's that company called that does like the acne cream for your face?
Oh, dude, I've seen that commercial. I've seen it. I can't remember. It starts Proactive.
Proactive.
Dude, I got it. Look at that.
He needs to call it Proactive and see if they'll.
He needs to get a sponsorship from Proactive.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Jeez. All right, what else you got for us there?
Dude, you wish you could grow a pimple now. That's for young people.
I wash my face. That's the difference.
So Dana had come out and said that Derek Lewis was going to be next because Jon Jones was asking for 30 million, and then Jones comes out and says, "Where did you hear that I was asking for 30 million?"
Yeah, I mean, John, we both know that Dana is going to say what Dana's going to say.
Yeah,
and I'm going to lean on the side of Jon Jones for right now. I don't think Jon Jones.
All right, but all right, hold on. Let's do this. Let's play devil's advocate here. I'll be Dana. You be John. All right. So what is it you want?
I want 20 million plus pay-per-view.
That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing. Look, we're in this to make money, just like you're in this to make money, and so you know that I will pay you. I will pay you. You're gonna let me talk here, John? I will pay you a fair salary. I will pay you. In fact, I will pay you $10 million plus.
That's not fair.
Percentage of pay-per-view. But if you can get people, since you think this is a big fight, I do think this is a big fight. I think this is a fight that everyone's going to want to see. But I need you to go out there and sell it. I need you to get the fans the casual fans, the people that aren't always buying the UFCs. I need you to get them interested in this. I need you to go out there and sell it. And you and I together, we can make a lot of money on this pay-per-view, and you could get well over that $20 million mark. Well over. How about it, John?
Let's split the difference. I'll go $15 million plus pay-per-view, and I'll help you sell the fight. Now what do you got to say, Dana? Huh?
Well, sitting there saying that you're going to help me sell the fight, that's your responsibility for you to make that pay-per-view. So I'm not going to give you $15 million off the beginning.
Right.
I am going to give you a fair, John, I'm giving you $10 million plus pay-per-view. You have the ability. I want you to think about this. If you are able to sell 2 million pay-per-view buys, do you realize how much money you're going to make, John?
Dana.
John, you're going to make $30 million.
Dana, I checked your books. You guys
$30 million, John.
Billion.
All you got to do is get 2 million buys. $30 million.
Dana, $1 billion you guys are making this year. You can afford this, okay?
I kind of agree with you there, but the whole thing is this: look at that. This is what Dana is going to do: is say, look, we want to be, we're in business together, and if you can sell the fight and you're going to make money, we're going to make money. That's how we do this business.
Yeah, I've been in his office in that chair with that conversation.
Yeah, I know. So is everyone, man. It's like the one thing I do say for John. John's got to have he's got to be at least reasonable enough to listen. But you've got to have your mark, and you got to say, this is what I'm worth. Mm-hmm. And it definitely sucks when you're John and someone like Dana tells you, no, you're not worth that. I'm not going to pay you that. Because it hurts. Even though it's a lot of money, again, it shouldn't hurt you. But it always hurts when you feel like you've done good things for the promotion. You've always been there as far as trying to, put on good fights. And you've been this guy that has had all these wins, and you say, I'm not worth it. You're crazy.
Yeah, the difference is, so we've heard this from other fighters, a lot of top fighters from before. And I majority of the time I agree with Dana White. No, you're not worth that kind of money, or if you are worth
it. I agree too.
Yeah, but the thing is, he is different than all the other fighters.
Yep. And
that's the problem. And
that's what I'm talking about.
And he's over here saying, no, I didn't say 30 million. So maybe he's saying 30 million total when it comes down to like, hey, give me 15 or 20, and then we'll go ahead and do pay-per-views on top of that. No one knows except the two of them, whatever it is. But he's saying somebody else is speaking on his behalf, which is another big time fuck up. Whether it's
that's his manager.
Yeah, whether it's his management or whether it's
his manager's talking.
Yeah, his manager's Mauki, isn't it?
Yeah, Mauki Kawa.
Yeah. So, anyways, but the bottom line is that you've got to meet in the middle somewhere. And as much as I like Jon Jones, if Dana's saying, I think as a fighter, you say, look, you need to tell me exactly what it is you think is your max offer, and then that's what it is. Okay, and if that's your max, I may try to stretch it 1 or 2 more million, and on top of the pay-per-views, whatever it is, or sweeten the deal another way.
That's where I look at it.
They can sweeten this deal in so many different ways, okay? Buy me this car, give me this membership somewhere. There's other ways. Like there's a lot of other little things, that they can do. But to think that it's just about the money, no, there's other ways that I can make me feel that I'm worth it. So Dana's just not being creative. He's towards the end of his road with Jon Jones. But he knows he has Jon under contract, and he's going to either make him sit and say, fucking, you waste the rest of your career, just sit on the sideline,
yep.
Or do what I say. If I was Jon, I would go back to 205 and just fucking keep mopping the guys down there.
But you're not the champion at 205.
Yeah, but you can go down there. He doesn't have to. He can still get his normal pay at whatever, $2-3 million, beat those guys and be champion some more.
If I was Jon, I would do close to what you're saying. Is I would go back to 205 and I would just fight, and I'd fight my contract out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fight for the championship.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yep.
And that way, then I'll say, all right, what am I worth?
Yeah. That's really what it comes down to. I wonder how many fights he has left on his contract.
I don't know.
He's got probably at least 3.
Well, you figure since he's been the champion, and that always extends out at 3, so I would say that he's got 3.
Got at least 3, yeah. So, I mean, if I was him, I'd go back down to 205 and just say, nah, I don't want to fight for the title. The shit part of that, though, is that they can offer him the title shot, and every time he turns it down, it extends his contract. Just say, like, no, I don't want to fight for the title. I'll fight somebody else. Anybody else. Give me somebody else. Yeah. I mean, he is, what, 33, 34?
Yep.
I think he's 33. You know? Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see him, fight it out. And then they would come back to the 33. They would come back to the table with some good money. Or they might let him go. The ESPN deal is fucking stroking them right now. Oh. That deal is making the UFC all their money. It doesn't make a difference. The fighters, they don't make not they don't make as much. They're not as important to them now.
There you go. The stars don't matter as much.
It's a plug and play. I don't need a star. Sure, ESPN loves to have the star, but they're just looking for content on their network. That's it. So what you're going to, look, tonight was amazing. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Great show.
The prelims were great as well. The first two fights in the prelims were fucking barn burners. Great stuff. And the crowd had everybody on their fucking feet, or had the fighters just performing at a high level tonight. Very nicely done. But there's going to be nights where the cards suck. Yeah. Because that it's not important anymore for them to start building stars. And sure, stars will rise from the bottom, and they'll get there if that's what they do. That's what most promotions are able to do. But that deal they did with the ESPN, it's taken away the ability for stars to be shaped. So
it's taken away the ability for stars to have any kind of power.
Yeah.
Yep. It's tough. You can't blame the UFC for signing that deal. It's a great deal.
No, not at all. No. Like I said, at the end of the day, this is all business.
Yep.
So speaking of business, let's talk about Vettori.
What do you mean?
Let's talk about Israel Adesanya set to defend middleweight title at UFC 263 against Marvin Vettori. Shit. I feel like I've heard this before.
Yeah. I don't know where.
Look, guys, it really comes down to business.
That's all it is.
Whitaker, we talked about it last week. Do I think he deserves a title shot? Fuck.
Absolutely.
Yes. He's going to get one.
Nope.
And this is proof.
It's again, people don't, when you look and you say, take a look at his fight against Izzy, it's hard for them to sell that to the casual fan.
Yeah.
It's just hard for them to sell. Yeah.
Yeah, Whitaker's fight.
Where it's easier to sell a guy in Vettori who's now on the same type of win streak, and he went to a split decision loss against Izzy, and he always gotten so much better, and he's beating these bigger guys now and this and that. It's just an easier sell for him. It's easier business for him, and that's why you and I both thought, yeah, Robert's not going to get that title fight, even though he does deserve it. Yeah, he's the number one contender, all that stuff, but this is what can happen when you have a promotion and they're in control of their belts and stuff, the ranking systems, all of it. The ranking systems are nice. It's great for the fighters to a point, but really it's no different than, they could take Leon Edwards and say, oh, you're not number 3. You're even out of the rankings now.
Yeah. Okay. So that leads us into like the whole other portion of all the act and all these, but I don't want to go that way. I want MMA to stay the direction it's going, John. Like taking it the other way. Sure, there's problems with the way that this is now, but like shifting it towards the Ali Act or anything else that has to do with unionizing. Look, if there was a fighters union, I think it'd be great. But like what the Flick kid said, they're fucking too stupid to understand what's going on. That's the bottom line is the fighters are too fucking dumb and can't get out of their own ways.
Well, it's not only too dumb. It's that there's always someone.
John, they're dumb. Okay? Just put their own. Like if they all put their own needs aside for 1 second,
they can't do that.
They'd all end up making more money.
This is the whole problem, though. There's always that person that you get all these guys will say, okay, we're not going to do it for this. We're not going to do it for this, and there's I'll do it.
Yeah,
there's always going to be that person.
Yeah,
and I don't care if it's fighters, officials. There's always that person. So, yeah, it's tough to get any kind of solidarity, any, teamwork, any of that. Not with a sport where it's all about individuals.
Okay,
tough.
so I get that part, and I understand. But if you guys go back and you guys look at parts of when the NFL was on strike, and I know it's team situation, but like it was a while, it started dragging out, and they ended up being able to make more money in the long run. I'm not saying that you need to have everybody because look, you can't have if you have a couple guys that come over from the LFA and try to fight in the UFC. Sure, they're going to do well, okay, but they're not going to have the type of fights that you're going to have, let's say, like an Izzy or a Jon Jones or any other fighters that are in the top promotions. They're not going to have that same type of feel. And the fans are going to go like, well, I'm not buying this pay-per-view then. So it only takes, honestly, let's just say you take 10, I'd say 10 to 15 fighters of the top guys that said, look, we're not fighting. You know, and you take 10 to 15 of those top guys and say at least 4 or 5 of their champions. If they just said, no, let's unionize and everyone jump on board, I think you'd have something. I really do. Like at least enough to go to the table and say, look, we don't need to be a union, but we deserve a higher stake in what is going on. You guys are making $1 billion this year. We deserve more than 12% of the pie. Can you get us to 17? If you get us to 17 or 19, we're done. We're good. We'll take that. That's all I think it would take. It would only take I would say 10 to 15 of the top fighters right now to say, look, we are not fighting until we can sit down at the table with you guys and say, hey, we've got to be able to represent our fighters to get at least 17 to 19% of the stake. I know everyone wants 30, but let's slow it down. Okay? Let's do baby steps, please. Let's not jump.
You can't make those giant jumps. It doesn't work.
Yeah, business structures don't work that way. They have their plan for the year and what they're trying to do. Okay, so let's just baby steps to it. I'm not on Dana's side. I'm on the fighter side. But you've got to be real. The reality is that it can be done. But you're going to need those guys at the top and females at the top to stick together for a little bit and just say, hey, we just want to come to the table and have a conversation.
Okay, so you just said it's never going to happen.
It's not.
Nope. It's not.
It's not. Because they all think that they're all making a ton of money right now. But one day it's going to run out. One day you're going to lose that title, and then you're going to be going, damn, I wish I would have done it, because now you would have been getting paid more to fight on the undercards or on the main card, but the first fight or the second fight. I know you worked your way up there. It's always hard. It's always really hard to be the first. It always is, you know, but it's got to be done. But it's not going to happen. As much as I want it to, it's not going to happen. I don't even know who the kid's name was. I think it was Jimmy Flick or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Jimmy Flick.
I know look, you're right. They're not dumb. They just can't get out of their own way to see the bigger picture. But I don't think the Ali Act I don't think it's beneficial. Not for this sport.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying that's the answer. But I am saying that you've got to take a look and say, anytime you have promotions that are completely in control of rankings, belts, all those things, what do they really mean? Because at any time they can say, oh, you're not ranked number 1. Now you're ranked number 10.
Yeah.
At any time. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I liked about the Bellator rankings, how they decided to go the media. But then I also have a bone to pick with the media. Fuck, they're just bad. Jesus. Gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell they're doing. Like I looked at the pound for pound the other day. I'm like, how in the fuck? Anyway, let's not get into that right now. Pull my hair out.
It's all good.
But look, overall the fight's a good fight though. Vettori with Izzy, good fight. Vettori coming off the win off Kevin Holland, long, lanky, very similar to Izzy, but not as good obviously on the feet.
No.
But I'm saying like stylistically, and Vettori did what he had to do. He got the takedown, dominated positions, did everything he had to do. So good stuff on his. I think is a good prep fight for him to fight Izzy. Whitaker could look good. Maybe Whitaker gets the fight after that. If let's just say Izzy loses, their first thing they're gonna do is give Whitaker the fight. Whitaker wouldn't fight again. First thing they're gonna do is give Whitaker the fight. If Izzy wins, they may make Whitaker fight somebody else to see who fights for the title. I'm just being honest. I could see them giving him the title shot after that. If Izzy does, either guy wins, I could see them making Whitaker wait a little bit to see if he fights next, depending on the performance of both fighters. Vettori wins, he gets the automatic title shot. Izzy wins, I could see maybe having him fight somebody else. As much as it pains me to say that, he shouldn't have to.
I don't think so. I think either way. I think Vettori wins. Obviously, Whitaker's going to get the shot.
Yeah.
If Izzy wins, I would see Whitaker getting the next one.
Still think so?
Yeah.
I hope so.
So do I. He deserves it.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he does.
But what you saw with Vettori though too is he's a shit talker. He's a little bit of a shit talker. He likes to do the whole thing at the press at the weigh-ins with the whatever it is he did with the Kevin Holland. You know what I mean? Like that right there is already something different than what Whitaker is. Whitaker is he's not that person.
No.
You know, he's not like a lot of people like for the longest time. I always loved Dan Henderson, but what you got with Dan was Dan. Like he never did anything, or like he was just Dan. Like he never did anything that was like overly. He was just fun. Like he talked shit. His way of talking shit was like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna knock you out. Like it was not. There wasn't a whole lot. You know, there wasn't a whole lot there. So I think Vettori spices it up a little bit, and if he does beat Izzy, for sure him and Whitaker is going to be a good fight. So,
yeah.
All right, what's next?
Weili's been removed from the rankings. It looks like his contract's up, and he probably isn't getting re-signed.
Well, very nice that you said his contract is up, because everyone will say he was released. Wasn't released. He fought out his contract, and it looks like the UFC is not going to re-sign him, and that's okay. That's okay. Tyron can he can go other places. He can decide what he wants to do. If he wants to go fight Javion Love or Jake Paul, he can do that. So this gives him the opportunity where he doesn't have anything over his head. If he wants to do one of those things, go ahead. But it's off of his last performance against Luque, I was hoping that they would keep him.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they'd re-sign him, and I thought
at least 3 fights.
Based upon the fact that he went out there, he fought hard, he tried to make something happen. He got caught, after he hurt Luque, then he got hurt, so got caught in the submission. Happens, but I always look for how does the person fight. That's one of the things I always liked about Japan is they didn't care if you won or lost. They care how you fought. Did you go out and you fought? You showed Bushido. You went out and you warrior spirit. And that's what I thought Tyron did in his last fight. So I would have liked to seen them give him credit for putting it out there. He deserves it, but it's, it's the business and it's their business choice. And so, wherever Tyron ends up, they'll be better for it because he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a fabulous person, man. He's a really nice guy. He's I've trained with him a bunch of times, hung out with him a bunch of times in Vegas and stuff, at some of our UFC Summit stuff when we first went over. Super fun, great guy, very soft-spoken. Just a joy to be around, man.
He is. He's done some things that at times I go, Tyron, what are you doing? But, I love the guy. He's a great guy.
Well, I mean, like, realistically, I think what it came down to is that they were having a hard time dealing with him when he was champion. And then after he fought on his contracts, like, look, we don't want to deal with it anymore. Especially for the price that we probably have to re-sign you for. And you've seen the trend this whole last year because of the COVID situation. All the older fighters are being released. That's just how it goes. Like you acquire
older fighters with the bigger, heavier contracts.
Yep. And that's really what it came down to. That's what I think it came down to. So, yep. What else you got?
Last piece of news is on Oscar De La Hoya apologizing about his commentary at Triller. He said he got carried away.
Just a little?
You don't say.
Don't say.
I don't really have much to say. I mean, he kind of, I don't know, he kind of ruined it. I was excited about his comeback when he said he was going to fight again. I mean, I was a fan when he was fighting. I've watched all of his fights when Trinidad and Mosley's and like I was always a big fan. But they got to tell you, just that one night really turned it off. It just was like, all right. If you're just going to be done, cool. I get it. Like, okay, you're drinking, you're having a good time. But, like, I was kind of, like, pumped. Okay, you're going to have a comeback. Cool. You're, 51 years old? This whole Triller thing is kind of whatever. It's fun. They're not great fights. We all know that. But it's still like, okay, this is fun. This is, like, vintage shit that we get to see. You see the old-timers throw down. I was really intrigued by the Roy Jones and Mike Tyson thing. They fucked it up with Jake Paul and Ben. But then, like, now they're back with I was like, oh, De La Hoya versus somebody. Okay, cool. I'm down. I'll watch it. But then his commentary, like, and this is in June. Here we are a couple months away. I mean, I know a couple nights about drinking is not going to kill you, but 51 years old. You know what I mean? Like, you're not, and I don't know. It didn't sound like he was drunk because his words were coming out just fine. So it's
Exactamundo.
yeah. There was no slurring. There was no. It was his words were coming out clear. They were just,
Yeah, I was promised by a person that I know that's around him that says, no, John, he wasn't on it. He just drank. He'd been working out a lot, so he hadn't been drinking. That was the first time, and I'm like, okay, sorry, I've seen it too many times. I know the signs. He was on more than just alcohol. So, yeah, I hope he gets his crap together. I look and he was a phenomenal boxer. I watched him when he was a young, when he was young in amateurs, and then he went to the Olympics, and watched him throughout his pro career. He was a great fighter, and man, he was a skilled fighter.
yeah.
He was a definite outstanding boxer. And if he wants to get back and do it again, great. But off of, what I witnessed and what he was saying, it's like, because he really said some things in the Cunningham Mir fight that you don't say that. And there's just no excuse for it. The fact that he apologized, okay. I thought what Frank did was very classy.
I thought so too.
Saying, you know what, I've seen people that need, some have a bit of a substance problem, and I see it, and I hope you get help for that. And I've been there myself, so good luck to you. And I thought he was very classy with everything. And so if Frank can forgive him, I can forgive him. But we'll see what he does.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, what else? You got nothing else? Scroll through the news. Let me see. Like 3 a.m. right now. What it says right there. What did Colby say?
Colby say about what?
The finish tonight. He was talking about the finish. What did he say?
Here's his commentary. Oh.
Well, can you read it?
Yeah, I can read it, but then you always complain you didn't understand it.
I can't understand what you're saying right now. Just read it.
Kamaru took 8 minutes longer than when I would have than when I would finish.
Okay, so you can't read. I'll read it. Go ahead, read it.
It's a weird sentence. Longer than when I would finish George Masvidal every time that we trained. That guy is a journeyman. What's he got? Like 15 or 20 losses in his record. That's not. You shouldn't be happy and praising yourself for being a journeyman like that. There's a reason he is a backstabber and a street Judas, because he's a bum. I mean, if I lost the next 12 fights in a row, I would still have a better record than George Masvidal. I definitely knew it was a possibility because he puts, and this is him talking about the win. I knew it was a possibility because he puts the threat of the takedown, and that is what Masvidal was worried about. He was worried about the takedown. He didn't want to get taken down and gassed out, so he's worried about getting taken down, and then boom, hits him with the right hand. So I knew it was a possibility, but it's a different stylistic matchup when I fight Marty. He knows he can't take me down.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't really say anything that's, it's true though. I mean, Gamebred was he was concerned about the takedown, so that we've said this for forever now. That split second of hesitation is all it takes for that punch to come straight down the pipe and land cleanly. And that's all it takes also too when I flinch with the stand up and you're thinking I'm going to knock you out and get the takedown. So it goes both ways. And Usman's got it working on all cylinders right now, man. So Colby, as much as the first time I thought you were going to potentially gas Kamaru out with your wrestling and putting the pace and this and that, brother, I ain't fucking going against Kamaru again. No.
You've learned your lesson.
I learned my lesson, man. I mean, and plus when you go into rematches, what is it, like 80-something%? The guy who won the first one's going to win the second one.
Especially if he's younger.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been active. He's been active too. What he fought since Colby, he's fought. Pull up Usman's record. He fought Colby, then he fought Burns after Colby.
He fought Jon Jones.
He fought
Masvidal, Burns
3 times. And Colby's fought 1 time, right, against Robbie Lawler.
Yep. No, against Tyron.
Oh, Tyron. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's fought T. Wood. He's only fought 1 time, and Usman's just gotten better with the 3 or 4 fights after. So it's just activity is key, I think, especially when you're the champion, because he's just raking in the cash. Like when you're the champ, you're making that championship money.
Good for him.
Yeah. Good for him. All right. Well, I guess that's everything, huh?
Sounds like it.
Sounds like it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully it was a good show for you guys. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the little bell on the bottom right corner. We want to ask you guys to hit that subscribe button. That's the main key point of this whole thing is hit the subscribe button, please.
Hit the subscribe.
I think it's red, right? Down below. Isn't it red?
It is red.
It is red, right? It says
Say subscribe in red.
It does, in red. And yeah.
Go to ProWrestlingTees.com. Get some shirts. How about that? ProWrestlingTees.com. Go to the ProWrestlingTees.com. Go to Weighing In. You will find a plethora of different shirts. Ones that are our normal logo. We got an old logo. We've got the Karate Kid ones. We have basically home improvements with
Terminator
too. That's true. We got all kinds. So go there, use the promo code and you'll get 20% off. So that's
pick up our limited edition shirt, Cinco de Mayo shirt, which is
Cinco de Mayo coming up May 5th.
May 5th. It will only be there till May 5th, and we will wipe that off. You won't see it ever again. So pick
ever.
We'll have maybe another Cinco de Mayo next year, but for this year, this one will only be this one. Okay.
I got it.
I believe that's everything, buddy. So
it would be the end.
I will always love to have you say the last words.
You know what? I just want to say in the last thing, good job by the guys in the UFC. Everybody that fought, really nice. PFL, way to start off the season there. A lot of upsets, loved every bit of it. And for everyone that is listening to our show, thank you for being a listener. And if you're not, well, then we just want to say see ya.